So moral agency is the ability of being capable of making moral decisions and choices. And anybody who has moral agency is a moral agent. Agency, as we know, the power to do something. They're agents. Government officials, they are agents, and they have the agency to do certain things. Legislature has the agency to make laws. Execution of bureaucracy has to execute those laws. Then there is judiciary, who are responsible or have the agency to judge whether something is constitutional or unconstitutional. So if you have moral agency, that means you are capable of making moral choices, decisions, then you are a moral agent. Now we can divide into moral agents into three. Those who are simply moral agents, but there could be supramoral agents and there could be inframoral agents. And this distinction I found in Aurobindo, Sri Aurobindo's works. Supramoral agents are those who are beyond this question of moral and immoral. That means they do whatever they do, they are not, the question does not arise, maybe God or angels or maybe saints. The question of being moral and immoral does not arise there. Similarly, inframoral agents are those might be animals, lion, tigers, or cows. They are inframoral agents. Again, they are not held responsible for their actions. You cannot ask moral questions, raise moral questions about their actions. You cannot blame a lion or tiger, a hyena for being violent, because it's their instinct to eat, hunt. Similarly, a cow cannot be held responsible for eating grass and so forth. But moral agency basically is about more a question for human beings. Who could be a moral agent as far as human beings are concerned? So here are the following. So this slide all summarizes what I've already told you, that moral agents are those who are morally accountable for at least some of their conduct. They are subject to moral duties and obligations and therefore to moral praise and blame. So all of us, we understand. We can be called moral agents, that we know that whatever we should do, we are not only responsible for legally, of course, but morally. And we can be called a good person or a bad person based on what we do. But is there a possibility that some of us are not really moral agents among all the human beings? That is to say, so there are 5 conditions. The first thing is understanding. The understanding of what? The understanding of the moral principles according to which an action could be judged to be immoral or moral. And there are many of them, such ethical theories or ethical principles, be it utilitarianism, which is a form of consequentialism, or non-consequentialist theory, like deontologies, or virtue theory as well. So the person should have some understanding or should have clear ability to understand what is the basis for calling an act moral or immoral, that he should have possessed the ability to judge those standards. He should understand the standards And there are many other, like relativism is there, ethical egoism is there. All these things we'll discuss in related topic on dharma. So moral agent must understand when an act is moral or immoral, and what are the principles which are called moral and immoral. For example, we should be, although not knowing the law is no excuse for breaking the law, but ideally we are able to, it should be, it is assumed that in normal circumstances, you know that you are breaking a law when you do something, or you're breaking a rule. You are supposed to be aware that there are fundamental duties. There are certain laws which are prohibit certain actions, murder, stealing. These are also, according to the Constitution, IPC, Indian Penal Code. These are illegal. So you know, sir, you should be able to. You should be able to understand. You should have the capability to understand, at least in principle, that what you're doing is illegal. If still you do it, that means you are, using your choice. You are making a choice. You are by choice. You are doing something illegal, not by because of you're ignorant of it, or you have totally, have no ability, no intelligence to understand that. Next thing is, so understanding means they should be able to understand what are the objective criteria, and there should be an external, not just internal. That it's not just what you think is moral and is moral, and what you think is immoral. You cannot decide on your own in certain conditions. Maybe it depends on the culture in which you are born, the society in which you live. Maybe it is religious morality. There are certain religious injunctions, there are religious principles, commandments that tell you what is right and what is wrong, what is moral and what is moral. Or maybe there are more rational grounds. So you should be able to understand those principles or objective criteria for deciding what is moral and immoral. Then rationality. It's very important that when you make a moral decision, whether to, when you're trying, when you think, when you ask yourself whether to act in a particular way, that is, suppose you ask whether cheating is good to get good marks, which means you should also have the reason to see that whatever actions you are going to do, they will have consequences, and your particular action will lead to a particular consequence. Our actions have consequences, and we must have the ability to see that what my action has this particular consequence. Somebody who is unable to decide, or he is absolutely in the dark about the consequences of the actions, or he is unable, totally has no clue, somebody who has no ability to reason, logically deduce. If you shoot somebody, you should know that shooting somebody could be fatal, and if you shoot somebody in the head, definitely it is going to be fatal. So if you shoot somebody and kill by that, that means you have not only committed a legal but a moral crime. Your action was immoral. But you cannot say that I didn't know that shooting somebody had killed them. I mean, the rationality, minimum rationality demands that whatever you are doing, that where your action is leading to, what are the consequences of your action, they cannot be moral agents. So first you have the understanding of the standards, moral principles, and you should have the rationality to see the consequences of your actions. Or if somebody is totally not in control of his emotions, somebody who has lost the control, his mind, control over his actions, definitely he's not rational, she's not rational. It's a very important the idea of selfhood is that the person that I am, me, is not just the body or not just my character. Since I was born and to the day till today, there seems to be something which endures throughout, something which I refer to as myself. I might have undergone a lot of mental, psychological, physical changes, but it seems that something of a, something which I call myself has it is enduring throughout, is continuous. Since the day moment I realized, since early childhood, early childhood, when I realized that it is myself. I am someone. The notion, the ego, or the I, the sense of I, you know, uh, emerged, or you realize or felt that you are somebody. This body is yours. You started thinking about what is yours and what is your not, what is not yours. Now, here a little bit of technical terms, but which we'll see in the free will determinism. So, libertarian sense is that which is not subject to the laws of nature. The self which is not being controlled by the laws of nature. And it is different from the enduring character in the sense that it has the power to change or make a decision. It is independent of all the conditions which make the character. And in fact, it can choose whether to have a certain character or not to a certain degree. What do you mean by character here? For example, being honest. So when you are deciding that you want to be honest, you are talking about a character. Now, the honesty, being an honest in character or being a dishonest in character are the two choices available. So whatever may be the circumstances, you are not just honest. You choose to be honest. You should have ability to be resist dishonesty and choose honesty to be honest over dishonesty. If there is, when there is a conflict. So character in the sense, good character, bad character. Want to be a good student or a bad student. And the decision that the thing that takes the decision, the part in us which takes the decision, the conscious I or the self, this is what we call enduring sense of selfhood. I did that. What I did in the past, what I'm doing right now, and what I will be doing in the future, it is common. There is a continuous thread between all my actions, past, present, and future. A sense that I was the person who did something last year, last semester. You took admission in 2019, July. Now it is July 2020. But you cannot say, no, that was somebody else. So that is selfhood. And why it is important for the same reason. Because if you could say that it was not myself but someone else, this means you are no longer responsible for that action. So you cannot be held morally accountable for that action. So with selfhood comes also the responsibility of the actions that you committed at different times. Like this slide, if we do not believe in that there is an enduring self, and as the Kant said, Immanuel Kant, one of the greatest modern philosophers, that immortality, God, and free will were the postulates of morality. And morality was not possible without postulating these three: immortality and believe in God, and immortality of the soul, God, and free will. So here the notion of self is somewhat similar in the sense that it is as the immortal soul is required that in one worldview, your this life is a result of your past actions, and next life is again going to be determined by your present actions this life, and nobody can take away the credit for what you do, good or bad. If this happens, that whole idea of karma, you know, principle of action, that you get, you bear the fruits of your actions, or you are responsible for actions that you did, good or bad, is violated. Because in this case, you might be getting results of someone else's actions, someone else's efforts, and not your own. So moral accountability is possible when you say that you are the same self who did something good or bad in the, say, last semester or yesterday or the day before yesterday. If it is possible to say that I'm not the same person who stole money yesterday, I'm different, then it means that I'm not cannot be logically held responsible for action committed yesterday, because that's somebody else. And it is comparable to, if you, that is, if you can be charged or held morally responsible for an action which was committed by someone else, not yourself, then it is equal or logically equivalent to saying that a child is responsible for the actions of its parents, which is absurd. So therefore, for moral accountability, other than understanding and rationality, a sense of enduring self is important. Then intention. So intention is the goal-directed behavior. So you cannot be held responsible for your, uh, any random behavior, whatever you're doing. There should be a purpose. There should be, you should be doing whatever you're doing voluntarily. You should know that what is the consequence of action. That is, what is the goal that you intend to achieve by acting in a certain manner. So you will display, exhibit goal-directed behavior. So you are fully aware that you are acting, which is behavior could be, anything. You're right now talking, or you're sleeping, or just doing something, moving the hands. You behave like something. But action has to be rational. It demands rationality. It demands that you intend to do something. You cannot be responsible for anything which you did not intend to do. Morally responsible, that is to say. So a good example which you can take from another philosopher, philosopher Austin, J.L. Austin, that suppose you you're entering, opening the lock and the door in your house, your drawing room, and the moment you switch on the light, and unbeknownst to you, without, you don't know it, but there's a thief, and because of that sudden, you know, light and entry by the owner of the house, the thief who is there to steal, you know, has a heart attack and dies. Now you are not responsible for that, because your action of switching the light on was not intended to kill that person. You did not want to. You are simply natural for you to enter into your house and switch on the light. But if you shoot somebody in the head, you cannot say that you did not intend to kill the person. Definitely, otherwise, there's no reason for you to stick a gun to someone's head and pull the trigger and blow their brains out. So you should have the intention, that is the goal directed behavior. So understanding, rationality, enduring self, and intention. And most important of all, free will. You must be free to make choices. If you're not free to make choices, you cannot be held responsible. Suppose in this case, someone else holds a gun to your head and asking you to press a button which will detonate a nuclear, thermonuclear device, killing millions of people. Now, in a way, you have choice. You can say no, and bam, you are gone. Or you can say, okay, let me press. Either way, when you're coerced, when you do not have a choice, you cannot be held responsible. You legally responsible for that because it's not much of a choice if you have to choose between your death and someone else's death. So you should be free will. That is, in the idea is that you should be able to say that it was possible for me to act otherwise. Just like when you go to when you are on campus, you go like to go to Nescafe here, and there are choices. And when you make a choice to take the burger, you can say likelihood that I could have taken not the burger but paneer kulcha, for example. And maybe if the clock is reversed, if at 10 a.m. if 10 a.m. you made a decision to take burger, and at 10 past 10 you feel that you could have done otherwise or given an opportunity, if you can reverse the clock and go back to 10 a.m. again, you would like to buy not the burger but the paneer kulcha. In principle, if it is time reversal or time travel was possible, not just a science fiction and the movies, we can say that it was possible for me to make a choice, different choice. It is free will. Unless you have free will, you cannot be held accountable. You cannot be a moral agent. And this free will be the next topic after we discuss the notion of dharma, which is related to moral agency and moral theories.